Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Off the Mark. Once again, episode 9 or 10. I can't remember, but you know what? It's because we're staying busy and we're bringing you guys information. So it doesn't really matter which one it is. Let's just say it's like episode 20. Okay.
Right?
It's episode
When,
100. And we
whenever you
have
tune in.
45,000 followers. And, anyway. So, anyway, thank you guys again for showing up. I want to remind you guys to like, share, and subscribe, blah, 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 do the thing. You know the thing.
You know the stuff.
Right, exactly. Miss Kali, how are you? There you are.
Hello, Miss Tuti. How are you doing today?
I'm okay. It's been a rough week, let's be honest, right?
Right. It's been active.
A little bit, but look at
Calm down.
Yeah, right. We're okay. A lot has happened since Wednesday, or what is it? What was it? Was it Wednesday that we had?
Right. It's been 3 days.
Right. 2 years ago on Wednesday.
Right.
Yeah, so a lot's happened since then. We just kind of want to bring you guys a really, really quick update on as to what's going on. Just pinpoint, boom, 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 and kind of that's it. And really, what I kind of, my personal goal for this episode is just kind of plant some seeds so that you guys go out and look for information yourself and need to decide for yourself, because there's a lot of funny stuff that's happened in the last few days, the last 48 hours alone. So Miss Kali, I'm gonna let you take over. Start. Take one. There's like,
all right. So where we left you was America.
I'm America. Sorry.
Right. Okay. So we were storming folks were storming the Capitol. There was the backlash and the aftermath of that, and now we're still seeing all of that unfold. So there has been a wave of terror or response to this terrorism, domestic terrorism, that this is, an issue and problem that we have in our country. All of these people that just aren't lying down and accepting the election as is, like, never mind, like the fraud, whatever, or whatever dispute, or that, everything should be transparent and clear and authentic and cut and dry for the American people, and that we should be entitled to that. Never mind that. So since then, there's been a huge backlash at the people that basically citizens turning on their fellow citizens, that basically if you're not, you as well as Trump are just conceding to what is happening to our country, that means you're pro-Trump, and that means that you're a domestic terrorist and that you're anti-American, even as you're like waving the American flag more than anyone else and calling yourself a patriot. So this cognitive dissonance that's happening right now has been incredible. But yeah, basically, a lot of people are wanting to see those that did storm the Capitol be brought to justice. There's been a search for them. DC's been in a state of emergency, essentially, making sure that there's not subsequent attacks on the Capitol. There's been an incredible backlash towards Trump, and everybody deemed pro-Trump by proxy of that. Stuff is happening. Sorry.
Are you getting news? Oh, she must be getting news right now. Oh my gosh. I love that we get to do this. I love that we get to see things like instantly happen as it comes in. So I don't know what's going on right now, but we'll find out in a second, I suppose. But yeah, there's been a lot of backlash, as everybody knows, because it's been a huge deal for everybody, no matter what side you're on. Trump has been completely abolished and silenced on the Twitter, on the Facebook. Those are the two big ones, right? So those are the ones that made the news the most, were the Donald Trump or President Trump bans from those platforms. On the political side, they're trying to invoke the 25th Amendment on him,
right,
to impeach him still, even though he only
it's like it's days away, folks.
in the freaking office, you know what I mean? They're still trying to impeach him. They're insistent. They're very insistent.
Yeah, there's been this, like, Pelosi's been like really demanding his immediate removal, that like the entire country is at danger if he's in office for another second.
Right.
And
right. It's like, well, it's been 4 years. It's all right. And, first of all, let's go.
I mean, COVID, but
well, here's the thing. Exactly, that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna bring that up, but it's like, well, he didn't cough on somebody and cause COVID. Let's put it that way, okay? Donald Trump did not make COVID happen. All right. Was it mishandled? Probably would have been mishandled no matter who was president.
Right.
Come on, you guys. Come on. if I'm president, there's no way in heck that I'm gonna be able to make the wisest decisions right away during a pandemic. The word pan endemic, both of those are just they're just very panic, you know, demic, you know, well, I don't know, learning, I don't know, what's that?
Demic, like demon, and pan, like
know.
the, you know, like,
I don't remember.
yeah.
Yeah, go grammar.
Just waiting, but anyway.
So
Missed it.
yeah, it's Donald Trump, man. I was very upset a few days ago on the fact that our country was in support of us silencing the president of the United States. Now, again, I can care less who that person is. I'm baffled as to why that was okay, why that's okay, and I understand social media, big tech, they're huge, and they're a conglomerate that we cannot control right now, obviously, and many people in many offices have all agreed that we do, unfortunately, or not, maybe not unfortunately, fortunately, have to modernize and change certain amendments and certain laws when it comes to regulating them, not them being able to regulate us.
Right.
So we're working, some people in office are working towards that. Others are working simply to silence those that are working on that. So that's pretty big. And if you ask me, that's exactly why this push to silence Donald Trump, the current president of the United States, for the next couple of days, if nothing else, that's the beginning. That's exact permission to tell them, to tell us, hey man, we're next. We could. Oh, I shouldn't have said that, man. I'm president. You know what I mean? So it just,
Yeah.
what it's doing is it's rationalizing the idea that they can silence our voices. And to start with the leader of the free world, dude.
To make an example of him.
That's insane. And made an example of him. That's
and any of his supporters. So, and not even his supporters explicitly, but just anybody that doesn't follow along with this specific narrative. Like, it has been so pushed to the forefront that, like, this is what's happening. And if you don't, like, agree with that, or that's not your reality, then you're wrong and you should feel wrong, or I don't know, and then you should be punished for it, and that you're stopping the progress of, like, this new beautiful nation that's going to come forward after the inauguration, that everybody's, like, waiting for this threshold to cross. But yeah, there's been a lot of Republicans that, you know, have basically stepped back from their support of Trump since, that it's been turning into this witch hunt, which is so ironic to me, because obviously, like, previously it spread through Hollywood and, you know, like the Communist Party, and now it's like a reverse witch hunt, but towards patriots, that, like, if you're really attached to the Constitution and want to see it held to the letter, that then you deserve to be persecuted and aren't following the progress of things. Nancy Pelosi was pushing for all the pronouns of, like, mother, father, and things like that to be removed from like legal documents and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just incredible, this huge push towards silencing and an official narrative. And I've never lived in communist China, but, like, or, you know, it's very akin to a 1984 Orwellian world, where what do we have? Like, if your account and social media platform can just be removed that quickly, a lot of people were commenting, like, what's next? Are they going to cut off Trump's phone service with AT&T or whatever if they don't like what he's saying on the phone to the person next to him? And so then, in response to Trump's being removed from Twitter and Facebook, he was reported to create a Parler account, which is reported to be like the free speech platform, but also obviously a lot of people who have been removed previously from the I don't know, different waves of censorship that we've had over the course of this year have already migrated to Parler. So there are a lot of, you know, Trump, Q, conspiracy theorists there. So,
and aside from that, just to put some names out there, Sidney Powell, who was a lawyer who was actually trying to the main lawyer who was fighting for the voter fraud movement to actually be pushed through legally. I honestly don't know what happened with that. Everybody was waiting for them to push out evidence. I don't understand why the affidavits, with the thousands and thousands of affidavits
Right.
of people's personal testimonial under oath weren't enough as evidence, as seen as how these people could go to prison if they're lying.
Right, exactly.
Literally risk their lives and their families' lives in order to tell this story. So why that wasn't enough evidence, is beyond me. The voter fraud thing again confuses me. And as far as the legalese details are concerned as to why that didn't work, I have no clue. But
It's such a house of cards somehow that, like, how could you have such a thing built up and then it just like completely dissipate
exactly
in these last couple days like that? What happened?
exactly what happened?
Right.
What happened? Why that happened is still absolutely beyond me. But the fact that it's even questionable, the fact that we're actually questioning it is cause for concern.
Right.
Somebody's hiding something, regardless if it turns out the voter fraud that was happening was actually on the other side, so be it. We found out regardless. Constitutionally, that is the job of the Constitution, is to sit there and be steadfast in our rules and laws, to make sure that everything that us as American citizens care about and have a voice for, that voice is still heard and counted. So that's why we vote. Let's be honest. They call it a democracy these days. Fine, call it what you want. But yeah. So that's that. Sidney Powell was banned. Lin Wood, another lawyer. The thing about Lin Wood is I don't know about it, but he has put out a lot of truth bombs, and he's put out a lot of crazy bombs. So. Whatever. But either way, that the point is, it's not literally. It really isn't about these people's personal characters or beliefs. What it really is that they're being silenced. They're being
targeted
without inciting violence, without saying any type of hateful things. I can understand. I can even almost understand if they were sitting there trying to tell you to go attack somebody or attack something. Yes, of course. That's one. It's probably. I'm almost positive that's against the law. And two, it obviously would be against the policies of whatever platform you're using. There are certain rules. Dude, don't be an asshole. Don't say rude things. And on top of not saying rude things in your heart, it's probably better not to believe them. So it's, aside from being a good human, having a voice shouldn't change whether you are one or not. Say what you want. If you're going to be a jerk, be a jerk. But we're going to sit there and judge you for being a jerk. That's how the world should work. Sorry, that's how this country should work. I can't speak for the rest of the world. But anyway, so yeah, Donald Trump was banned. Sidney Powell, Lin Wood. There's several other smaller, I guess more celebrity type people, not necessarily people in office. But a lot of people have been banned. A lot of people in office. Matt Gaetz was booed when he made a speech that was. Basically, apparently he blamed Antifa for the attack on completely booed in the Senate, and it kind of reminded me of like Some Like It Hot or something like that, where it's like where they're in togas and they're boo, or I don't know, I can't put it into words, but you know what I'm trying to say, where they're like in the Greek theater and really, you guys, like, come on, like, grow up. But anyway, so yeah, it's just
and like meanwhile, like Twitter is awash with child porn sites or whatever else that's allowed to stay on there. But then these people that basically are saying, I suspect foul play right now, that there's something fishy going on. It's like censor, delete. Exactly. And so in the response to when Trump then supposedly opened a Parler account, I haven't found the official one, but it was reported that he was opening a Parler account. Everybody started migrating over to Parler. And so in response to that, both Apple and Google Play decided to remove Parler from their app store, so that if you didn't already have it installed on your device, that you are not able, I'm sure there's some type of workaround, but through the Apple Store and through the Google Play Store, you are no longer allowed to download the Parler app and access all the information and things that are going on and being circulated in there. So it's just such a blatant attack on free speech that we're experiencing this week, and that there's this huge force and push to carry on with like business as usual and don't think about it and don't question it and just keep your head down, go along, and you won't get hurt, basically. Like, don't make yourself a target. There's been like the AOC has been really calling that like we need every person that's supported Trump to like be on a list and be, you know, like brought to, you know, brought to justice about this, be held accountable, you know, for what these other people at the Capitol happen to be doing. And then meanwhile, some of the most prominent people that were storming the Capitol, like the Q shaman guy with the, you know, whole headdress and stuff like that, that
I
like
hate
Willie
that
from
guy.
right?
I know it's a strong word and I don't mean it, but man, he annoys the hell out of me. I can't stand his face.
Right.
Like,
Tired of it.
I mean, you're just one of those things like, you have a punchable face. I would never do it. I'm just saying, like, some people have punchable faces, and he's one of those. The Q shaman. He made my week awful. Yeah, that's funny.
But like meanwhile, like that guy was photographed outside of the Capitol with Nancy Pelosi's son-in-law, who's married to Michelle Voss, who's married to her daughter Alexandria. So like we're just wanting to cover all the bases of this, of just kind of point to all the kind of suspicious activity and like red flags and things that have occurred over these last 48 hours, like Tootie was saying, and just to put people on alert. Oh, another thing we wanted to mention is this afternoon that a lot of Pakistan went on a blackout, and that I don't know like all the details and implications of that, but there was like a rather large area. And incidentally, just, you know, 2 days ago, they were reporting about how there were protests over there that were spreading. So, you know, that's part of the MO of to dispel dissent is to put that impedance in our communication and able to connect and everything with each other. So we just wanted to take these opportunities on the platforms that we have to just like remind each other where else that they can find us. You know, we're still growing now, so we're rather forward with our thoughts currently, you know, but we haven't had backlash as of yet. We don't know quite how it's affecting our algorithms and stuff like that because we're still starting out with the content that we're sharing. But on our Patreon, we're going to be much more just raw and just sharing all of it, wanting to make sure that everybody's, you know, informed and prepared for whatever may come, that just the way that people are getting shut out of Parler and having their Facebook and Twitter is deleted, that you know, we've come to rely on our social media accounts as being one of our primary forms of communication. A lot of people don't even text message each other anymore. You just like, you know, DM through the apps and stuff like that. So just making sure that we are aware that a lot of these systems that we've grown accustomed to and comfortable with aren't sustainable, they're not reliable, and that even though we can use it as a tool in the meantime, just to not like put all our weight into it in that sense where we're reliant on it. So just to be mindful of being prepared, what truly is within your control at any given moment, and just doing your best to like fortify that in your home, in your space, in your health, in your body, in your connections and relationships with different people and your resources, and just really tuning into that, because there's been a lot going on. Trump officially, you know, did a video where he did concede to Biden and accept the Electoral College, and there's been a lot of debate about that video. Unofficially conceded, yeah. But you know, that there's been a lot of speculation around that video, that there was a lot of oddities about it, that, you know, he had you know, depending on how closely you follow these types of things, of Trump having his twin and wearing the different color ties. So, you know, he seems to have a certain line of speeches when he wears his blue tie versus his red tie, and which one's the real one?
Let me remind you guys of this. Actually, we all understood and knew that Saddam Hussein had doubles.
Right.
No reason why our president wouldn't have a double for the same reasons as this. Also, if look into it, because I don't think there's too much time to go into it now, but the flag, the American flag, had yellow fringes around the edges, which is very common. But if you really look into it, the yellow fringes on the American flag does mean that legally the United States of America, while these while this person is spewing words out towards us, that flag is under another jurisdiction, believe it or not our own. So look it up because it's the absolute truth. Yeah, yellow fringes on the flag. Look it
So
up.
it means that we're under admiralty law when we're speaking under with those flags. So pay attention every time that the president or, you know, somebody
Right.
official is speaking, it means something, whatever's on the banner, you know, the office of the president-elect, whatever's on the flags, the way they're folded and what stars are showing, the seal that's on the podium, all of those things play into what is the jurisdiction and what's the authority of what's actually being said and the authenticity of it. So, there's a lot of questions in the video that it looked suspicious. He even like side by side, they did videos of Trump just speaking the day before and then that, you know, unofficial conceding video and how it looks like a different person or like what age, you know, that he looks different aged and more orange and all his hair and everything. And that it also looked like he was in front of a green screen. And so it's just suspicious, like maybe not on all of those things, but still there's enough to call into question. And just like, you know, we knew Saddam had doubles, like we know that Hollywood, you know, doesn't just stop on the theater and on the screen, you know, it plays out into the real world. And so there's possibility of doubles. There's possibility that we know that there's such a thing as fake news. Not every report, not mainstream media as a whole is necessarily agreed to be fake news, but there's definitely be reports that there are instances of, you know, journalism that was false.
And
yeah, many instances. So
I mean, the fabrications and the exaggerations, and again, more than anything, the most important part of journalism is the way they word things,
right.
because the way they word things is how they grab you emotionally, and
Mm-hmm.
is all we're running on right now, not facts.
And that's what they plant into your brain to like, that's what you're those are the words you're using when you think about it. Those are the words and language and key words. I catch myself even doing it sometimes if I've seen like certain posts and it had like a repeated, you know, phrasing or something on the meme that like that starts to be part of my linguistics in that. So they're doing that intentionally for you to watch the news and like, this is your new download of like, this is what happened. Here's how you describe it. Here's how you feel about it. And here's how you call the people. And here's the characters and all that kind of stuff. It's just like getting your playbill at the beginning of a show. So yeah, to just be mindful of the media, that we can't necessarily trust everything that's being reported. And that's a lot of what's kind of going on in social media and those different groups and chats and circles is, you know, is a lot of people aren't accepting the election. They're not believing that Trump is conceding, regardless of what they're going to see on TV or a video, that's not him, that he's, especially since there has been kind of conflicting just days ago, right before on January 5th, you know, in Georgia they did a speech, he said, we're not going to concede. So, you know, his followers and stuff aren't going to believe it. And it's potential that it could create this divide that after the 20th, that we could be, you know, basically in these different paradigms, depending on what news outlet you're tuned into and what you believe to take on as truth.
Right. And what we need to understand is now the ridiculousness of the way he's being portrayed on the news. I can't really comment on. I don't really watch it. I stopped paying attention because it wasn't. I wasted a lot of time paying attention to it in the last 3 years. So the way that the way that they're painting this is he's gonna get it all or nothing because he's a tyrant. They're not looking at this legally. He's not going to concede because he didn't lose. This is according to him legally.
Right.
So we have to give him a chance. And I'm not saying that because I'm a fan of current president. I'm a fan of that leadership. I'm a fan of a leader who's going to constitutionally sit there and say, hey, something isn't right, and I want to legally fight it.
Right.
That is okay.
Right.
I'll allow it. That we've studied the Constitution all these years. There's a reason for it, and I didn't realize it's been boring. So for the last couple of it's been a while, but learning history, learning my own ancestral history, learning Black ancestral history, all of it is tied together, and all of it does come down to one thing: the Constitution is God's law, and we all sit under it regardless. And thank God that we were able to muster up such a beautiful piece of legality to give us the rights to just live as if we're naturally living. You know, it takes some know-how, and it takes some experience, if nothing else, of how people interact with each other for us to be able to sit there and legally write something down and document how a human being is supposed to interact with another human being while not disrespecting the natural laws that were given to us by our creator. That's great. We have that. And as far as I know, no other country has anything else quite like it. And to actually have a president who's, regardless of what we think about him personally, his character may not coincide. My character sucks too. You know what I mean? There's certain things about us all personally, as we are all human, that we will never like. Fine. I annoy other people. Other people annoy me. Lots of people annoy me, actually. But that that aside, it's let the man speak. He's doing our work. He's doing the things that we want a president to do. That's it. He's putting out in the forefront that things aren't, the whole drain the swamp thing, that's a real thing. And he wasn't talking about the Democrats. He wanted to flush the toilet on every corrupt politician that sits in office today. And I'm hoping, I'm still having my fingers crossed that it's still going to happen, whether he's in office or not. You know, but yeah.
And I'm such a not skeptic, but I don't know. I'm still not sold on all of that, because I've been so much in the realm for so long that basically it's a big club and we ain't in it, you know, and that everybody's a player. And even, you know, from a lot of the you know, independent news outlets and things that we followed were teaching, or, you know, we were studying that kind of thing. And then all of a sudden they all switched to Trump's support. And that was, you know, alarming to some of us, of why all of a sudden this guy, is he a genuine candidate and stuff like that. And there has been, you know, this toggle of evidence throughout his presidency that he has achieved a lot. And there's certainly been things to call into question. But I guess even with the Constitution, it's a very artfully made doctrine for government, but it was still written by Freemasons, as our founding fathers were Freemasons. And it was still part of their like divine manifest that they felt that they were entitled to America, despite the entire like nationhood that was already present here. So not to say that the previous nation was a better like connection of God's law and human interaction than this. I didn't live in that civilization, so I don't know. And I feel like that there's definitely, the Constitution has that, but obviously it has its holes, because we're at where we're at now. It can be played. So and it does have this inclination, I guess, towards this enmeshing of dependence on one another. So I mean, like, ultimately, I think we are on the same page as far as everything being according to God's plan, ultimately. So who's to say what's good or bad? You know, there's this great quote of a farmer and his family, and like a horse ran away, and he's like, oh, what bad luck. And the farmer was like, well, you know, we'll see. And then the son finds the horse, and he's with a bunch of other wild horses, and he brings them back, and now they have a ton of horses. And the son's like, oh, look how cool, we have all these horses now. And the father, what good luck. And the father's like, well, you know, we'll see. And then the son was trying to tame one of the horses, and then he fell off and broke his leg, and was couldn't work as much and stuff like that. And so they thought, oh, what bad luck. And the father was like, well, we'll see. And then the next day, the military came to the village and was gathering up all the sons to enlist in the army. And the son couldn't join because his leg was broken. So they said, oh, what good luck. And the father said, well, we'll see. So you never know, just from the outcome of a singular event, whether this is a good thing or bad thing. It's just, it is what it is. And we make of it what we make of it in every like given moment of now. And, you know, we can't control other people. And it's confounding to me what like that we've forgotten that this year in 2020, that every person is an individual. Like, yes, we're a community. Yes, we're accountable to each other. Yes, we're a collective. But at the same time, you can't control another person. You can't control somebody else if they want to be an asshole or whatever, or say whatever they want, or troll online and stuff like that. That's their right, their freedom. I mean, in this society, we've decided, and
they don't put on their face either.
Huh?
You know what I mean? You can't control what somebody puts on their face and what they don't put on their face. And people
right.
have literally been beaten
Exactly.
because they don't have a mask on their face. And that isn't okay either.
Right. I deserve to smother you because I heard my TV told me that that's okay for me to block your airways and to, criminalize you if you don't. I'm going to call the cops on you that you don't have your air holes covered. So yeah, so all of this that we really just need, and in the meanwhile, everybody's like waiting on the vaccine, waiting on the next like announcement, waiting on the next news report, waiting on the next president, waiting on the next, new healthcare, whatever, to save them from their circumstance. And, that's dangerous. That's not sustainable. Like we really need to draw the power back into ourselves. And I think that these moments are calling attention to that, and that there's like that divide happening where like the ground is splitting, and the lands are separating, like land before time, and like you got to pick a side. Like, are you going to like huddle into the security of, this is what the TV told me, or my phone or whatever, and like I'm gonna believe whoever these officials that say like, this is how the world is now, and like regardless of what I see outside my window. And I mean, not to say that we shouldn't be considerate of our fellow humans all across the earth. Of course, like we're all in this together and we are interconnected, but we also need to be mindful of like, put that into perspective of like how connected we are. Like, I'm not the boss of somebody in Pakistan to say like, like save Pakistan of like, who am I going to do to what of who they're from here in California, and like, not to say that I'm powerless to help save the world, but just like, we need to draw it in of like, what's at your fingertips? What is your responsibility for today? Like to like clean, those, with glass houses shouldn't cast stones type thing. Like, we can't be so concerned about what other people are doing. And yes, like we don't want people desecrating our official buildings of our government and stuff like that. And, undermining our capital and what that stands for in our constitution and all that. Of course not. We don't want our statues pulled down. Like, this cancel culture has like run amok, and it's erasing history, and there's implications of that. Like, we need to be able to remember the bad moments so we can remember not to do it again. Otherwise, we're just like going through these cycles. So this push of like how Trump will go down in history has been incredible. Like, there's been no like take it fact for fact of like a historical like ledger of this is what happened through the course of his presidency, that he made this bill and this did that, and or the economics of it all. It's just like, orange man bad, and I don't like the way he said that, and these are his characteristics, and he's a danger to society, and all of that. And with zero accountability of like he incited these people. Like, take personal accountability. Like, if somebody's walking down the street and says, hey, go stab that guy, like, that's on you whether you do that or not.
Yep.
Like,
exactly. Girl, preach. Preach, because it's the truth. Like, you can't, I don't recall him forcing anybody to do any of that. Absolutely. But that goes for everybody. To actually, like I said, to actually incite violence and is one thing. He actually, well, and I'm not going to go, I don't want to beat a dead horse. He called for peace several times during the event.
He said, respect the law officers.
He condemned the event. Kelly McConnell, oh, shoot, I forgot her name. Kaylee McEnany, I forgot her name. Anyway, his press secretary, cute little press secretary. She condemned it. Now, weird speeches, because they took like, they were less than 3 minutes, both speeches. They condemned it, they left. It wasn't enough for anybody, just like when that Charlottesville accident or unfortunate tragedy happened, when he did the whole there's good people on both sides thing. That was huge. It's kind of the same. So he came back, he condemned it, but he obviously he didn't do it enough. There wasn't enough. There wasn't enough condemnation on his side. So whatever. But like you said, accountability is still a thing, ladies and gentlemen. And it seems like a lot of folks on the other side have forgot that they have to be accountable for their own actions, because you know what? We forgot what happened this past summer with BLM and Antifa. And I can tell you, I haven't forgot, because it's still in my neighborhood.
Right.
I still have things boarded up. I still can't go to certain shops because they're closed still. And not because of COVID, because their windows and their doors and everything else and the inside has been ransacked. And that wasn't by anybody that you would deem patriots. And again, I'm sorry that patriots has been taken into this whole other direction where patriot means somebody who's aggressive and somebody, but nobody ever bats an eye at the word Antifa or BLM when they're the ones who actually had the actions for several, it's not even the one incident at the Capitol, many over and over of incidents of just total destruction. As I said, don't bring that to me, take it to them. You know what I mean?
And nobody was concerned that like Antifa.com connected to the Biden campaign website.
Oh shoot, I forgot all about that.
Right?
Yeah, you click.
I tried to show some people that were Biden supporters, and it just,
Please donate. Like, okay, all right, I got you. I figured you out. So I want you guys to know, because we're gonna wrap up, but I want you guys to know that dark days are ahead of us, as Joe Biden has said. But don't trip, potato chip, because we got this. Okay, yes, dark days might. Okay, this whole Pakistan blackout thing. First of all, it happened because I wrote it down. Protesting over an attack by an Islamic militias. Yeah, so there was an attack on a mine, some kind of coal mine, a gold mine, a silver mine, some kind of mine happened in attack happened in Pakistan by a group of
Islamic militia.
So this is what they are protesting in Pakistan. That protest, much like the protests here in our own country, trickled into other areas of Pakistan. Hence this convenient big tech blackout. And I don't want to use big tech in that sense, but you know, how else does a giant, you know, you turn off the big switch, I guess. Yeah, so Pakistan as of now is in total darkness. Whether that has changed or has been updated, I don't know yet, but we will update you if you guys would like us to. Comment if you do. Yeah, so like I said, literally dark days are ahead of us. If this is happening there, and if you ask me, in theory, this is a tester for what's going to happen here. Pakistan is an eighth of the size of the United States, so why not use it as a guinea pig to see what happens when a blackout happens? Why not? You know what I mean? So
as the city is act at large, and then, you know, they've been predictive programming us for all this with like the Purge, and the last one movie of them was even a electoral or election one.
A movie about
the Purge? Didn't they have an election?
Oh, right. Yeah. I think that
I didn't see it. I don't watch this, but
yeah, I watched the first one. I didn't see the second one, but I think it was election based, or after the after effects of an election or something. American Horror Story was election based and pretty much Donald Trump based. Again,
oh yeah, cool. Yeah, I just watched that season, and the way it correlates this to this year is uncanny.
If you go back and watch it, they predicted exactly what's happening now, and all kinds of other underworld stuff. And again, this isn't to incite fear. We're not trying to incite fear. If you look at me, if you look at Miss Kali, we're not scared. There's nothing to be scared of. It's not about fear. It's literally just about staying vigilant and staying informed. And you know, if push comes to shove and this blackout happens, don't freak out. It's just the internet. We still got each other. You know what I mean? So if
it's electricity or, you know, whatever, just do what you can to be prepared, and as we should be at any time. So even if, like, you know, the grid or whatever doesn't go down, it could go down for like a hurricane or, you know, like an earthquake, or there's anything that could trigger those kinds of things. So you always want to have supplies on hand.
So that's what I was getting at, is that from now on the Patreon, we're going to start posting raw, like she said, Miss Kelly said, raw videos of information that's going to help us now, because whether you want to believe it or not, survival mode is in the works. Like, we have to actually be prepared for things to come about, whether we want to or not. So survival tips will happen, packing our bags, finding routes. Now
it's more the kind of stuff we want to cover on our Patreon too.
Right, that's exactly, yeah. This is what we're going to be putting on the Patreon, because I'm not sure. I'm a little apprehensive about putting specific locations, informations out just on straight up YouTube's, just on straight up YouTube. I don't even know how exactly we're going to be able to do this without giving things away. Without, I mean, like I said, this is survival. I don't want to be found if I don't want to be found. You know?
Yeah, there was a great post I saw today about how we're behind enemy lines, like act accordingly, you know?
Exactly. So we're crossing bridges as we come to them, and then we're burning them the second we get across. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how it is now. And again, it's okay. Again, I have not one bone of terror in my body right now. This country is worth fighting for. You are worth fighting for. Our families, our children's, their futures are worth fighting for. So that's what we're going to do. And I'm not saying go out and do something crazy. I'm not saying go out and fight physically. That's not the call that we're doing. Again, it's all just about internal vigilance and just keeping ourselves aware and healthy. Believe it or not, health and what's going on right now do go hand in hand. They're huge. Just keep ourselves aligned and enlightened and focused and calm. Myself, I'm talking to me. Yeah, I'm talking to me. But yeah. So that's. I'm hoping pretty soon we're going to start pushing things out on our Patreon that are going to be a little bit more raw and a little bit more real and just a little bit more on the idea that preparedness. On the idea of preparedness, it's worth preparing for, regardless of if anything happens or not, because natural disasters also happen. So just preparedness.
Right. You just want to be ready for whatever happens and just not be reliant on systems outside of yourself. So just realize, like, just whatever you believe in to like connect in that of having that source of abundance and trust, and that you'll be safe and taken care of, and just, you know, tune into that virtue, into aligning with that, and not worrying. You know, you don't have to see the whole staircase, but just focus on the next step. You know, like we're given this day our daily bread. So
I love your analogies. I really do. I like when you do that. It's kind of cool. You're kind of like Jesus.
Pastor's daughter.
Oh,
parable.
Yeah. No kidding. So yeah, that about wraps it up. I want to thank you guys so much. We've gotten a lot of responses in the last episode we did about the Capitol. So thank you guys. You guys.
Yeah, thank you.
TV here is ridiculous. Like seriously, I couldn't be happier with the way things are going. And we want to keep the ball rolling. If this is content you guys are interested in, we want to keep it going, and we want to make sure that you guys we want feedback. We're lonely.
Tell us what you want. We'll talk about it.
And if you guys cool, man, get those thumbs up going, because I think those are the things. These likes, likes and subscribes. They like it. It helps us grow the channel. Right. So scroll the channel. Scroll the episode. There's several. And if you got 15 minutes, take 15 minutes, because a lot of them are 15 minutes. All right, you guys. Thank you so much. That was amazing, Miss Khalid. Thank you again for all your hard work.
Thank you, too.
Every single day. Any last thoughts? Any last words?
Not just to, we'll have the links in the description box below. Stay tuned on our Patreon and our link tree for, we're on Parler. So if you happen to have the app and didn't get blocked out, like, we're going to keep the conversation there, but we're also doing our Telegram. And so we're around. So you'll hear from us, and stay connected and stay vigilant. We love you guys.
All right. Bye, guys.
Like.